Alex White, and what's your role in Sweet?
I'm the Productions and Operations Manager.
Okay.
Which basically, the way that Sweet runs is we haven't got a general manager as such. It gets split between myself and the press and marketing manager, who's also kind of the communications and welfare manager, if you like. So between the two of us, we basically cover everything: staffing, budget, roles, rotas, accommodation, the technical side of things,
Blimey.
all the management side. Basically, I cover everything that isn't press and marketing.
Right.
And Rob covers everything that is press and marketing. And then between the two of us, we split the kind of staffing rotas and that kind of thing down the middle. I started working with Sweet last year. I came up with my theatre company as their technician, and then after that point, after being up here for a couple of days and helping out, they turned me into a deputy production manager last year. So it was a quick climb up the ladder, as it were. Programming begins usually from about sort of January time.
Right.
We'll be looking already at companies that we'd like to invite back and that kind of thing. Sweet work by sort of forging these relationships and building platforms for other companies to come back and work with us year after year, but also for work throughout the rest of the year. So we've got the Small and Sweet season running at the Leicester Square Theatre, where we've got several other companies that are performing in Edinburgh.
Okay.
We'll be doing a sort of 6-week run in London.
So in terms of venues, you've got this one, which has got how many different spaces inside of it?
Well, this is a strange venue. We've got basically one performance area mainly, which is downstairs, which is kind of the sort of theatre-specific type venue, with a small race stage and sort of 48 seats. Then we've got an open mic stage in the front with the bar.
Right.
Downstairs is another lounge with a bar. And then on the very bottom floor we've got a sort of club that opens at the weekends. We have DJs down there and that kind of thing. And then we've got the performance centre and the press office and that kind of thing here as well as our staff room, which is quite an unusual play. We've got two others, the Apex City Hotel, which has got 2 spaces in. One's a 55-seater, the other one's a 32-seater. That are kind of quite small, intimate little spaces that work really nicely. They're just sort of black box type conference rooms. And then we've got the swimming pool, which is next door at the International Hotel, where we run performances every year. And they're usually kind of fairly small, low tech obviously because it's in a swimming pool.
And is it actually in the water in the swimming pool?
Yeah, the performance takes place in the swimming pool and around the edge of the pool and stuff. And then that's got a maximum capacity of 23 people.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've had 3 shows in the swimming pool this year. One was Ophelia Drowning, by 3 Bugs Theatre, and we had that got some rave reviews.
Right.
Visually it was amazing. The difficulty is with the swimming pool is it's a maximum capacity of 23 people.
Oh really?
So,
is that all?
Yeah, so it sells out pretty quickly. And yeah, that got some really good coverage in The Guardian and stuff.
And do you use anything like underwater lights or...?
The pool is lit quite artistically already anyway, architecturally from underwater. But we have done some bits before where we've projected onto the water, or I've actually done some bits myself where we've lit stuff underwater by using solar tubes, which are these kind of reflective architectural tubes for housing. And you can shine the light down them and you get quite a nice dispersion. And then we've got another 2 shows in there that are by the same company. One's Ivanov and the other one is the Merchant of Venice.
Really? You take care of this venue and the other venues, do you?
And yeah, and the ECA, which is our other sort of main larger spaces. So we've got 3 spaces over there. One is Sweet Grand, which is a lecture theatre with 200 seats, with an end-on sort of big race stage and a truss rig. Then we've got Sweet in the Round, which is essentially an old art studio. It's literally just a big high-ceilinged square room, which we've got a 3-sided audience and stage, with another truss box rig in there, which is 110 seats. And then we've got Studio 1, which is kind of just an end-on smaller stage with 58 seats. I had a team of 6 technicians, 12 front of house crew, plus myself, the technical manager, and that was about it. And it took us just under a week.
And that's for every single one you've just talked about?
Yeah.
Wow, it's quite an achievement.
It is, until you realise how many hours we were working.
Right.
Which is, well, I worked about 102 hours without sleep this year.
Is that sustainable? Healthy? Good?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on who you are and the way you work. Obviously, it's not ideal. The way that our staffing works is that 90% of them are accommodated and fed,
right.
And it's done as work experience, which makes it very difficult for us to kind of motivate staff when we're asking them to work until sort of 3-4 o'clock in the morning, building stages and stuff. So inevitably we get a lot of the work done during the day, but then it falls to kind of a couple of us that are in positions of responsibility or the management to kind of stick around and make sure everything kind of can get to a stage for the next morning where people can come back in and carry on working again. The trouble is with having these temporary venues is that you've got a very short time scale that you can get in from, because obviously when you're doing the fit-up of a venue, you're not making any money from it. We get allocated a very, very short amount of time to actually fit up the space.
Right.
And obviously then we've got to do a good couple of days of technical rehearsals for all the get-ins to the companies that are doing the full run, which means that basically as of the 4th we had, in fact even the evening of the 3rd, we had technical rehearsals starting for get-ins and stuff. So the spaces had to be finished for them. I actually came up on the 27th, drove up from London with our van, and that was it. As of the 28th, we were just I was working permanently until right the way through to the 6th, when just about the spaces were polished off and kind of ready for opening to everybody else.
How many companies actually come through your venue from one end of the festival to the other?
I've actually got a total of, I think it's up to 81 this year.
81?
Including a couple of last minute additions and stuff.
And every single one of those has to have some time to tech and get their...
Part of the contract is for every company, it's a time letting contract, so we lease the time in the space to them. Part of that contract gives them at least 3 hours of rehearsal time in the space.
So you've got your own core equipment, like staging, blacks, all of that kind of stuff, and then you hire in your lighting, sound?
We hire in all the power distribution, all the lighting, some of the more extensive, there's truss, for example.
Right.
Anything that's kind of a huge outlay, basically, we have to hire in, just because our profit turnover is never enough to be able to reinvest that amount of money back into the company to be able to purchase the assets. Then we had a show out on an island on the 1st of 4th this year as well. Yeah. So that was another space again.
Is that finished now?
Yeah. It looked amazing. It was quite an incredibly difficult logistical nightmare to try and organise coaches to ferry everybody out to the ferry port and then get them on the boat over to there and then bring them all back again. There had to be a generator that we hired and took out there to provide the audio gear, audio
and there's
power.
Still just the 12 of you and...
Yeah, that's just they had their own technician, but I had to organise the hire of the generator and arrange for that to be transported out to the ferry port on the ferry over to there and then rigged up. Everything I've done basically is kind of just from experience and being chucked straight in at the deep end,
right.
Or chucking myself straight in at the deep end, and kind of just volunteering for stuff, you know. And I'm one of these people that can never say no.
Right.
It's got me in trouble a fair few times. I bitten off more than I could chew and turned up somewhere and gone, oh crap.